Hi, I'm Cindy from Agahat Co. and Pins and Needles, and today I'm going to be showing you how to bead weave on a cardboard loom. So let's go over our supplies. You would need cardboard, of course, a piece of paper, it doesn't have to be graph, so that you could create your design if you choose to. A ruler, doesn't have to be a clear ruler, it could be just a regular ruler. Pencil, colored pencils if you want to create your design ahead of time. X-Acto blade. The beads, of course, these are size 2. It just depends on what you have on hand. If you don't have any beads like this, you maybe have an old necklace that you want to take apart and use those beads to create something new. You also need needles, and then these are yarn needles. If you have a child and you want to teach them how to bead weave, you could teach them using yarn and bigger beads so it's easier for them to weave with them. Tape, whatever you have on hand, packing tape, duct tape, it doesn't matter. You will also need some type of yarn or thread. The warp thread will have to just be a tiny bit thicker. Using sewing thread is too fine. You could use this to weave with it, but using it as a warp will be a little too hard. Or you can use twine, whatever you have on hand that is sturdier than sewing thread. What we're gonna do now is go over the first step. So the first step is cutting your cardboard piece to create your loom. This one's a very tiny one. It's up to you how big you want to make your loom, but I just did this as a sample. You can cut it longer or half this length, it's up to you. The only thing I'd say is do not cut this way if the corrugated is this way. The reason is it'll buckle. So use the lengthwise because it's much stronger and it won't bend on you when you add the tension of the warp. So then you put a piece of tape around just to hold the paper of the cardboard because it would tend to pull up if you're putting the warp over it. So just wrap some tape around it. And then what you're gonna do is mark your warp slots. So then you're going to do I'm doing 1/4 inch because it's wide enough to work with these beads and also it won't fold up the cardboard. So I just mark 1/4 inch each slot, both sides, all the way across to the end. And then make sure you don't get too close to the end of the cardboard because then it could fold over and then you lose that warp. So it'll be a little harder to work with. So then once you've got all your marks, you come back and then you get your knife or scissor to clip, and I'm using an X-Acto blade. And all you do is just cut into it, making sure you get all the way to the back. Now, the next one is, this one's longer. It's already cut. So what I'm gonna do is show you how to warp it. And I leave it attached because I'm not too sure how much length I need of the yarn. So then leave a good sized tail and then slide it to the back. And then you're just gonna take a piece of tape and just tape it down. Leave a good sized length of tail there. All right, so then you're gonna come down and pop it into that bottom slot. Then what I do, if you try to go like this to hook it into the slot, it's not going to work very easily. So I just hold it down a little bit here. Then I just pop it in and then slide it and then turn it around. And then I slide that there. And then I come back this way. I use my pointing finger and then I just slide that, come down. And you keep doing that all the way across. So let's get our scissors, clip that. Take a piece of tape and then tape that leg down. So one ended up at the top, one at the bottom. It doesn't matter, they can end up both on the same, it just depends on how many slots you have. All right, so now we're on our, we're gonna begin to weave. So this one is in this yarn here, and I'm using a different color weaving thread because I just like the contrast. So in the beginning, what you're gonna do is slide the needle underneath the first warp there. And then some people wrap, some people make a knot. I'm just gonna make a knot. It's easier for you. Let's do that way. So then just make a knot, leave a little bit of a tail. And then to get that tail out of the way, you can actually just Put a little piece of tape just to hold that down in the back so it doesn't get in your way, because it will get in your way. All right, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 warps here. So what we're gonna do is, how many beads do I need for this? Not 6. You are basically sandwiching the beads inside of the warp. So I will only need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 beads. We can create a pattern, or you could just go crazy with whatever colors you want to do. So here I have the 6. And what's going to make it easier is that pencil that you used earlier, is just sliding that pencil underneath the warp to lift up the warp so that you can slide your beads in or under it. So then you're going to take your needle and go underneath those warp threads, come across. And so this is when it's a little bit more tricky. It's like you're trying to get those beads in between each of the warp. Okay, so when we get them all in their place, you can move the pencil up, and then we're going to move this, put this needle through all of the holes of the beads, but making sure the thread stays underneath that last warp. Don't move it from where it is. And so now you're just going to go through those beads and making sure you're going over the warp, because if you don't, then you're going to have a loose warp just kind of flopping around, and I'll show you that in a little bit. So, okay, so we got those in. See how loose it is? It's still like not tight enough, but once you continue beading, that's going to change. Pencil back down, bring this through. Get that down. Get in there. There we go. Push that pencil up. And then you're doing the same, going over those warps, through the beads. So you notice as you're continuing to have more rows, or build more rows, it's going to get easier to slide the beads into place. So then you can slide that pencil up now, go through your beads again, and pull. So let's do that one more time. We just need 5 beads. 1, 3, 4, 5. Right. You can slide the pencil down. Bring those beads through. Close that up. And then I'm going to show you what happens if you don't pick up that warp. All right. So here's the mistake. The warp now is above the bead. That's not good. So what you could do to fix that is either just take it out, pull it out, and re-go through back again. You would have to take the thread off of the needle. I can show you that real quick. Okay. And then I didn't bring a glass of water handy to make the thread not fray. Okay, so we're going over all of them. Don't go under the warp, and there you go, it's fixed. The other method is if I had the warp over here and I didn't catch it, you could go back down, go across this way, come back this way, and then pick it back up, or go over it, not pick it back up. So to trap it, and then you'd end up back in place. So that's an option that you can do. I prefer to take it out than to go over it again, because you'll be able to tell on the sides that you did that. But that's just me. And if it's the same color threads, then it doesn't matter, you wouldn't see it. But I wanted it to be repeat the same pattern along the edge of my work. All right, so there's that one. Next step is, what do I do if I don't have that much thread left on my needle? So you're going to go back to trap this inside of your weave. So we're just going to go through. And this needle is not long enough. So I do halfway and then I go back and then pick up the rest and just go through. All right. This is thicker thread, so it's not being so easy. So this, because it's so thick, it's not going to come undone. So I'm only going down one row and then I'll clip it. If it was a finer thread, then I would go down a few more. So I would come out this way and then go back through again. So adding the thread now. And you just thread your needle. And then get a good size length, but not so long where it'll tangle up on you. And then also you can pull the tail so that it's not that long and it won't tangle on you. Okay, so what we just did was weave down, you're going to go back up. So if I enter through here to come this way, to go through here and to go up this way, I'm gonna end up back where I was, where my thread's coming out this way. If I go further down, if I go this way, I'll end up with my thread over here. I'm just going to go through one row because I already have too much thread and this thread's super thick. So it's not really wanting to let me go through, or not at all. What I could do is just start here. And then I can work that back after. So I just have to leave a little tail. And then I would later add a needle and then just go part way. You know it's gonna be stuck, it's not going to move. But again, if it's a thinner thread, you would have to go back further. All right, so we're gonna go all the way to the end. All right, so we've got this thread. All right, so I just trimmed that off, cut it. I cut it a little bit too long, but we could trim it a little bit later, or just use your needle and just kind of like tuck it in. There we go, it's gone. So now we go back to our thread and we're gonna re-thread the needle. And sometimes it gets frayed, so then it's hard to get it into the eye of the needle. I forgot, I think I mentioned this earlier, to get a little cup of water to like dip the thread in, but all right, so I'm threaded. So we know now how to add another thread and then weave in the last bit of thread that we were already weaving with before. So now let's go into weaving a little bit wider than what we just did. So this one is 10 warp ends and this is 9. So we've got 1, 2, 3. Oh, we've got a pattern here, so let's do that. 4. Okay, 4 blue. And then we need 5 orange. This is just working with a pattern, and I have it here, what I was working with, so you could tell where I was at. So actually this way, I have 5 here, so five beads here, and then my 4, and then so I know I need 4 blue, and then I would need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 orange. So I have 3, 4, 5. All right, and that's another thing. My needle's on this side, so I'm reading this way. If my thread was on this side, I'm reading this way. So I actually numbered the slots so it's easier to read 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 to 9 over here, and then 1 to 9 this way. depending on how you end up on your side of which warp, left or right. So I'm gonna go through and then tangled here. All right, take this off. See how much easier that is once you start getting further up on your loom. And then this one's a wider one, making sure you go over those warps, because then you're going to have that floating warp that doesn't look so nice. And then you can even use your hands to pick it up. All right, so there we go. So that one's done. Now we're going to go to the end here. So let's say this is the end of the work that I'm doing. So what you're gonna do with the tail of your weaving thread is pull it down till it's doubled, because what we're gonna do is make a little bit of fabric here. So you're weaving now. So you're going to go, your thread is over this last warp, you're going to go under it now, over the next, under, over, under, over, under, and then you're going to pull your needle through. And then there's that little tail, that's okay. So now you're under this warp, you're going to go over it. Over, under, over, under, over, under, over. So you're just doing the opposite of what you did in the previous row. Then you're pulling it so that it pulls in the warp to match the width of your beads. So then you're going to continue under, over, under, over, under, over, under, and then pull through. And as you can tell, it's starting to form a fabric. I don't know if you can tell. We're gonna do it one more time. We're under, so we're going over, under, over, under, over, under, over. Okay. All right. And you can use your needle to shove it down, and you can see the fabric forming. All right, so that's that. And then the other method is cutting these and just tying them. So you can just undo this, cut the backs of here, and then you're going to grab 2 at a time and tie them together. If you have an odd number, then just grab 2 together and then 1, and then tie that into a knot. It's okay. So then you're going to tie into a knot, and you're gonna do that all the way to all of them. Then you're gonna clip a little bit, make sure you leave a little. This is all gonna depend on what you're going to do with your project. So if I wanted to do something like this where there's an end, you have to weave at least ½ an inch to an inch of fabric, depending on how wide you want your leather piece to be. So this was a little bit longer. I believe I wove all the way to here. And then I glued the leather to the fabric with E6000, works perfect. It's recommended for different fibers and works with nylon, so that's really good. And then I cut a piece of leather, and here's an example. Here's one that's woven about 3/8 of an inch of fabric. So I cut a piece that can be glued onto this. So then it would look basically like this one. Yeah. And then what I did with the other side is the tying, what we did here. And this is if you want to sew it onto an article of clothing, a jacket, or a hat, or whatever you want, where you want to put it. Or if you're making a piece of artwork and you don't want to see the ends, you could do this method. And that's basically what I did here, but I stitched it in. So each of the beads in the holes that are in the beads here, you just run your needle, come up from your fiber, your whatever fabric you're using, go through the hole and go down. So you're basically hooking those onto the article of clothing, leather, whatever. This one was stitched on, and you could actually wrap this onto a bracelet, or you could even just leave it the way it is, or stitch it onto clothing, or it's up to you. I have a lot of scrap fabric I don't throw it away because I find it very useful to create other projects with it. So it's handy to keep a little bag of scrap leather. Alrighty, so that is it. Thank you so much, and happy bead weaving.